Top 5 winners from UFC 305. At number 5, I have Jack Jenkins. Man, he just put on a clinic. Those kicks, the boxing, the left hooks, it was all amazing. I think he deserves a ranked fight. If he gets one more win next, I think he definitely deserves a ranked fight. And you know what should happen to Herbert Burns? His bum ass should be kicked from the UFC. Yeah, he's just not that good. He's a quitter. He can't stand and bang. He can't really box or kick. All he can do is jiu-jitsu, and he struggles to get to the fight to the ground. He got the fight to the ground maybe one or two times, but Jack Jenkins could still manage to get up, and he really wasn't giving Jack Jenkins any problems on the ground. And I think this was just a masterclass. Jack Jenkins just made him quit. Herbert Burns is a quitter. Jack Jenkins had amazing volume. He didn't get caught at all. The jiu-jitsu, like, how are you a national champion multiple times in jiu-jitsu and you can only secure 2 takedowns in 1 minute 54 seconds of ground control? I mean, Jack Jenkins had more ground control than you. Jack Jenkins had 15 of 15 body strikes. That's just amazing. And he had 2 knockdowns, which is kind of crazy too. And on one of them, Herbert Burns just didn't get up because he's a quitter and the leg kicks killed him. I mean, Herbert Burns thought he could rest during the fights for some reason. He would just lay on the ground, kind of like expect pity to be had on him. But Jack Jenkins was just let him up and then just kill him. It was actually an amazing fight to watch. And it was just a masterclass by Jack Jenkins. Herbert Burns is a quitter. He should have stuck to jiu-jitsu and should be cut from the UFC. Yeah, I think Jack Jenkins should get a ranked fight in about 2 more fights. Next on the list at number 4 of Carlos Prates getting the round 2 KO, and dang, this man is dangerous. Having 2 knockdowns, Li Jingliang. It was his first fight back in a while, but I still think that Carlos Prates just showed like levels kind of. We've never seen anyone do that to Li Jingliang. And I don't really want to overhype Carlos Prates because we haven't really seen much of his wrestling or ground game. He's been submitted 3 times, but he's undefeated in the UFC. He's 3-0 in the UFC. He and yet he's on like a 7 fight KO streak, which is crazy. But he hasn't fought a wrestler yet, so I'm curious to see what happens when he fights a wrestler. He's fought twice this year. This is his 3rd time fighting this year, and I think he definitely should get a ranked matchup yet. Next, I think that he has the potential to go far if he has good takedown defense. The whole team of fighting nerds is super good, but I'm interested to see one of them fight more of a wrestler to see if it's kind of like shoot a box where they only have the jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, but their wrestling's lacking. So I'm interested to see that. But I think it was just a master class by him, knocking down Li Jingliang and then finishing the fight in the 2nd round. Super impressive performance. On to the next. In 3rd place, I had Dan Hooker. These guys just went to war, and it was fun to watch. I thought that Gamrot won, but Dan Hooker got the decision. It was a super close fight, and I don't really care who would have won this fight, but I like Dan Hooker a lot, and it's kind of a rebirth in his career. He had a bad streak. He lost to Islam Makhachev and Arnold Allen in the 1st round. He got a brutal finish by Michael Chandler. Now he's back on his horse. He beat Claudio Puelles, he beat Jalen Turner, and he beat Gamrot. He's now in the top 5 of that division. Everyone's calling for it. I definitely think he should get that fight with Charles Oliveira, and if he wins, give him the title shot. He deserves it. He's had a career rebirth. He's 34 years old, and he took some time off, and now we're seeing a better version of him, which I like to see. I'm a Dan Hooker fan, but I still think he shouldn't have won. Gamrot had 5 takedowns and 5 minutes of control, but Dan Hooker just put on an absolute masterclass of striking like he always did. Like, Gamrot would just like panic shoot. There was no substance behind his takedowns. I think that's what gave Dan Hooker the win, but it was a super good fight. Dan Hooker, big underdog going into the fight, came out with the win. I think this is like a new mythical fighter, tatted Dan Hooker. He had a broken arm against Jalen Turner, won that fight. He was He had to fight the takedowns against Gamrot, who's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC. Got the win. Super impressive performance. Glad to see Dan Hooker back in the win column. Next up has to be Kai France. Give this man his title shot. If he does not get a title shot, I will be kind of mad. So he's 1-2 in his last fights, but he lost to Brandon Moreno for the title. He lost to Amir Albazi by split decision, and every fan knows he got robbed in that fight. He took a 14-month break, and his first fight back is against the title challenger and Steve Ercik, has really good boxing. He brought Pantoja to a very close decision and lost. And I think that Guy France could definitely give Pantoja problems. They fought earlier in their career on the Ultimate Fighter when they had the Champions Tournament. He had a good fight against Pantoja even back then when his takedown defense wasn't where it needed to be. I think it's going to be a really good fight if Pantoja and Kai France do fight. But you do have to feel for Steve Ercik getting knocked out in front of his home crowd. That's sad. I'm a big Ercik guy. I think that he got robbed against Pantoja. And I think Kai France has the skills to definitely beat Pantoja. It was a really fun fight. Went in as the underdog and got the KO in the first round. I'm pretty sure that was like his 20th of his career or some crazy number. But Kai France back in the win column after 14 months. I didn't think he was going to be the same after the break, but he proved me wrong. Great performance by Kai France. And on to the main event. What can we say? The man talked the talk and he walked the talk. The King of Africa, Dricus du Plessis. Definitely great fight. I haven't seen Izzy fight like that in a while with that type of conviction. I thought Izzy was going to get walked through pre-fight, and he was having good success against Dricus until he wasn't. I mean, when are people going to start taking Dricus seriously? They thought the Robert Whittaker fight was just a fraud. They thought Strickland won the fight. But Dricus du Plessis has the style and like the strength, and he's a good striker, he's a good wrestler, he's good at jiu-jitsu. He's just above the level. He just shows levels. Like Marvin Vettori got in those positions a lot against Izzy, but he just doesn't have the jiu-jitsu to finish the fights. Cannonier had good striking, but Dricus is the one guy that can mesh those styles all together. He's a better Marvin Vettori. I saw that somewhere, and I think that's a great way to put it. In his awkward style, he'll like look like he's losing but be winning, and I think he beat Strickland. He beat Strickland in his next fight. He KOs Robert Whittaker again, and I think Hamzat might lose to Robert Whittaker, but if Hamzat does win, I think that Dricus does beat Hamzat. And I think he's a very good